All right, ready to get started, Nancy?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Mainframe Open Education Student User Group monthly meeting for March 2026. Our goal with Mainframe Open Education as a part of the Open Mainframe project is to create an open source knowledge sharing community where we can share with people who are new to mainframe in the middle of their career or even veterans in the space. In this meeting, we typically talk to people in the field about their experiences within the mainframe, specifically recent graduates, students, and like I mentioned, people new to the mainframe. Thank you for joining. My name is Sean Rooney, and I work as a technical consultant at Broadcom. Today, I am your host, and we have a great session for you. Kelsey Kohlberg and Nancy Meng will be discussing using AI specifically to help new mainframers learn. They gave this presentation last week at Share Orlando, and I will be handing it off to them. Kelsey?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction there. So as mentioned, my name is Kelsey Kohlberg. I'm a member of the Open Mainframe Project Education team, as well as a partner education program manager at Broadcom. And I'm joined here with Nancy, if you'd like to do a quick introduction of yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Kelsey. Hi, everybody. I'm Nanji Meng. I'm the learning experience researcher here at Broadcom. And I also drive the Mainframe Open Education effort. We host biweekly core team member meetings, and as the student user group is also part of our MOE efforts. So happy to be here today.
Perfect. Awesome. So as Sean mentioned, we're going to be talking about using some of the readily available, really cool AI that is out there to basically help, new mainframers learn and get access to education a bit easier. So before jumping into, what we actually did, I want to take a step back and talk about why did we do any of this? And I won't read all of the quotes on the page here, but the gist really is that after speaking with new mainframers, it was often very difficult to find and connect to education. A lot of times, people that are new to the industry don't have enough background knowledge to actually understand where to look. There are a lot of resources out there, but consolidating them and figuring out what the actual learning path is for them is really, really difficult. Someone described it as a rat's nest. And unless you have someone to hold your hand, learning is hard, it's slow. And then the other really big thing that we saw again and again is people were sometimes afraid of asking mentors and actual people questions for the perception that they might be seen as dumb, which is not the right attitude. We don't want people, to have that, thought process and that attitude, but that's still something that people felt. So people were finding that education was hard to find, especially when they didn't have the background in knowing what to look for, and that they were afraid sometimes to ask questions. So really, the problem here is that new mainframers were facing significant cognitive overload and felt very overwhelmed when trying to learn this very complex system there. So that was a little bit of what the background was in terms of what the issue is. I do actually, and when I should have jumped into this, kind of a little earlier, but I did want to touch base in terms of what Mainframe Open Education is, because this is kind of the team that has helped sponsor this project. Nancy and myself are both members of this initiative and this project. It is a project under the Open Mainframe project at large. And I do have the QR code up here. I think we'll wait and we'll touch base on this at the end of the presentation in terms of how you all can get more involved. Obviously, you are all here are involved already because you're on this call, but we'll talk a little bit about some of the options for you to get more involved in the Open Mainframe Project Education sub-project, and some options to get started with that there. So with that being said, so we talked a little bit about the problems we saw in the industry. We talked a little bit about kind of what Mainframe Open Education is. I want to now talk about kind of what, with all that being said, kind of what our goal is here. So what we want to actually do with, what we wanted to kind of set out to do here. And the goal was to kind of create a AI learning mentor that was for the Mainframe Open Education community. So we wanted this AI mentor to be created to basically empower those new mainframers to be able to easily access education. We wanted them to be able to find access to actually vetted information as well, because a lot of times people are searching out on the internet, but it's hard for them to know if that information is vetted and up to date. So we wanted a resource that was, not only easy to use, but it was vetted. We also wanted something that people were comfortable with chatting to and kind of talking with. And kind of something that, was not a static source of material, but something that could actually adjust and, update as new information was found out there. So that was kind of one of the big goals, was to kind of create this AI mentor there. The other goal that we had in this project that was kind of a sub goal that kind of developed out of creating this mentor was an opportunity to close some of those critical gaps in mainframe learning content through community collaboration. So what I mean by that is kind of using the AI mentor to identify if there are areas out there that people are asking questions about that there is no good information or not enough information. So making sure that we are using AI to identify gaps and basically then work with community, all the people on this call, all the people in the larger community, to close those gaps. So either to create information or document information so that we can make sure to close any existing gaps that we're seeing and being identified with the AI. And then kind of the big other piece is just continuing to facilitate those high level, high quality mainframe conversations in the AI era. So what's happening today is a part of that, making sure we're continuing this and it's not a, static thing that we, reach, but something that we're continuing to update and get feedback from the community on. So I'm going to do some quick definitions here just in case, as we start to go through and talk about what we did, some of the words you might hear. So LLM, large language model, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that before, but that's basically AI trained to understand and generate human language. So that would be the Claudes, that would be the ChatGPTs, that would be the Copilots, and that would also be the Gemini. So Gemini basically is Google's version of an LLM. So when you hear us say Gemini, just think it's Google's LLM there. And then the other big thing I wanted to find from the get-go is gems. So Gemini, gems, are basically customized versions of Gemini. So think of this as Gemini with a specific job task. So it is a customized version of Gemini. And that basically is what we sought to create for this project here. So the one big question that we actually did receive early on was, well, why even create a gem? So why create this customized AI agent versus just using a public LLM? So, someone could just ask their question of ChatGPT, why bother going through all this work to create the gem versus them just asking ChatGPT? Well, some of the big reasons are, one, because gem is customized, we can actually have domain specific information. So that basically means it knows the room. So we can actually make sure that it's aware of the mainframe terminology. We can actually identify the vetted information that we wanted to prioritize in its kind of chats with people. We can actually add to it the technical baselines that we wanted to understand. So what versions we wanted to prioritize when giving answers, things like that. And we can also use it to identify those content gaps, as we mentioned earlier. The other big reason why we wanted to go ahead and create this customized gem versus just, having people ask public LLMs is we can actually adjust the output that it's going to give to the user. So we can actually adjust its tone. We can decide if we want it to be professional or if we want it to be sarcastic, for example. We can actually adjust that. So the user, feels like it's speaking to a real mentor versus just a generic LLM. We can also adjust the structure in which it's actually going to output that information. So maybe we always want it to end with a question, or maybe we always want it to include links to certain things. We can actually tell it and kind of instruct it and teach it to give the answers in a certain structure, as well as the criteria surrounding that there. And then the other big piece of this is the prompt efficiency. And this goes back to what I had said earlier about we want this tool to be super easy for new mainframers to use. By basically building out a customized gem, you are reducing the amount of information that a user has to input into the kind of agent there. So typically, if you're asking just ChatGPT a question, a lot of times it's a lot of work on the user to, kind of tell it what information it wants, and kind of it doesn't necessarily know the types of users that's, going to be asking those questions. So it takes a lot more work for somebody to actually get the answers they want out of just a generic LLM versus a customized gem where we're able to actually teach it how to potentially answer and also teach it what kind of people are going to be asking these questions and kind of what level of information we want it to give. So all of that is really the reason why it's so valuable to use a customized gem versus just telling people ask ChatGPT, ask regular Gemini. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Nancy to go through a little bit about the process that we went through to actually develop this mainframe learning mentor gem.
Thank you, Kelsey, for the introduction. So when it comes to build that gem, before I jump into the slide, actually, I should say I want all our audience to be here mentally with us. So this is not only a gem, like only users or learners gonna benefit from it, but this would be closely relevant to all of us because we could all be part of the gem building journey to build out more content, like Kelsey just mentioned, and see how we can better surface your contribution of the content or with the gem. And also at the end of my part of the gem plan explanation, you might want to have one or several questions ready. You want to ask the learning mentor about anything about mainframe, just to see how it performs and if that help you with the information you are seeking or questions you are seeking to answer. To build out this gem, we divided this into 3 steps. So step number 1, we actually further divided eventually into 2 sub-steps for the step 1. So in step 1, we build a gem just to perform the exhaustive search on Google search on anything related to mainframe learning content. And we set the search date back to 2000. We say, please search on the internet anything that is available on mainframe that is learnable, that is informative for learners, starting from 2000, because before that may be too old. So we want to be exhaustive and inclusive. So after that search, we pass the search result to the auditor gem that we built. We set up a set of criteria. We tell the auditor that we want the most fresh content to surface first. We want the most relevant versioning additions, what have you, to be given prioritized over those more of the older stuff. We also want the learning material be prioritized over those sales fluff in the content they searched out to be. And then afterwards, this auditor gem generated a packet as the audit result, which we use for the consolidation purpose. And this file was being fed into our step number 3, building the mentor gem as a reference. So with the learning mentor gem, be able to search out the information real time based on the questions asked. This mentor gem will also be forced to actually look into the audited result to see what learning materials to be recommended to the learners will be the most updated and the relevant. If we can move to the next slide, thank you. So in this, you can see our 4 phases of work in the grand scheme of things. So we did phase 1 and phase 2, which we built out the data harvesting auditor gem, and we sought for feedback. Back then, we had very good feedback in terms of what should be included and what should not. One use case I want to share with everybody here I see relevant is that we at some point actually looked into all the training providers and their learning paths they they have available out there, and have the search gem to search for it, and have an auditor to audit for that. And I know that one of the major training provider here in the market, ProTech, has a very inclusive foundational learning path out there, but the auditor gem did not surface that. Meaning, the reason being, I should not say meaning, the reason being their content provided is through instructor-led training, and that is only available through corporate training provide approaches. That's why the individual learners are not easily available to those trainings. But we found a lot of, in many of the scenarios, learners might actually need to go through the corporate provided training, or at least suggested the idea to their managers to be able to attend the training. So we actually coded the back end of the prompt to make sure that ProTech learning actually always surface in one of the top results here, just to see like we manually adjusted their priorities to be surfaced. So in phase number 2, we did our mentor gem. So in this gem, like Kelsey just mentioned, we can actually set up the tones, how this mentor going to sound like, if this person a professional learning guide, or if this person sounds like a old grandpapa who going to retire in 1 year. So like we can actually set up the tone for this mentor. But in this mentor also, we set it up to have the mentor divided all the questions coming in into 2 different types. So type number A is type A is all the questions related to operational workflow, technical, and this type of questions, we ask the mentor to first show the answer, or like give the answer to the specific question, but then followed by the learning modules suggested to this question asked. And there are also questions type B, which are the mentoring type of questions. People asking what is a mainframe, what kind of career I can build if I choose mainframe to be the platform I start out with. What are the job market out there? So this type of questions are being categorized as mentoring questions. And these questions are first prompt the users to provide their location, followed by the localized suggestions or feedback or on the questions they asked, and not followed by the learning modules, because that doesn't make any sense. If you just want to know how a certain role pays, you don't want to be recommended to learning path. That probably is not the most relevant. So with that, we move on now into phase number 3. We have our prototype up. We have the instructions shared with group members in the MOE on the GitBook, which later we're going to show. So with the validation, it involves everybody here. So we want you to test using it, to give us questions, see how the output look like, and provide us feedback how we can make it better in terms of its outcome. So one feedback we received at Share is people see, even with the guardrails on the output, some people still think what we're currently giving out is too much information still, especially for the new to mainframe learners. So we seek to further trim that to be even more relevant to what they're asked for. And then phase number 4 will be to fill the gap. So back into phase 1 in that auditor gem, because we have all the available materials searched and we have all the materials audited, we also naturally ask the gem to surface us the content gap that currently exists. So at the standpoint of 2026, we might have a lot of modelization happening in the mainframe world with talent chips being ready on Z17. People seek to understand hardware-wise how everything works with AI resides on mainframe. How does that look like? So there are definitely new technology out there that content or that the knowledge and the content need to keep up with that new update. So we seek for everybody here in the audience and a wider audience who will be watching the recording, that if you know the expert or you yourself are the expert, of filling those knowledge gaps, please contact us. We would love to learn from you, documented what you have, and feed that documented knowledge right into the GEM. So GEM will surface latest, greatest to the audience. So now it comes to the fun part of this webcast, which is to test how the learning mentor feels like when you use them. So these are some prompting questions we have listed here to prompt all our audience. These are the questions you can potentially ask. And these are not the questions we come up ourselves, but rather we actually went into a Discord The Enthusiasts channel and went back 2 years of history in terms of the chat history and surface the questions asked in the community. So these are the real questions coming from the real users in the community. And we just list a few of them here. So you can choose, or we can just choose to ask one of these questions and then see how the mentor gonna react to that. So with that, I'm gonna start sharing my screen with the mentor on it. And please feel free to throw questions. I'm gonna show.
I don't know, Nancy, if we want to start with one of the questions that we had up on that screen. I know there was a few there to get us started, and then that can give everyone time if they need a moment to think of an alternative question. So I'm not sure if we want to do
For sure. Yeah.
kick us off with one of the, so I know the blackout one. Yeah, Patrick, let's do that. Not the one I posted. Let's try that one. So the blackout one, Nancy, was that one in the chat. I don't know if you want to quote from there, but it was, did the mainframes of the bank still work even though there was a blackout? And again, these are real questions that we didn't think of, but these are questions that were actually asked of new mainframers in one of those channels there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so throw out the question and then it'll come back. So mentioned, we will not read into the lines of the specific answer, but mentioned the 2026 resiliency standard. Again, we set it to prioritize Z17 and ZOS 3.2. That's why it come on top as a baseline. Internal power buffering, parallel sysplex, quantum safe recovery. And technical deep dive. So this question is being categorized as a more technical question instead of just like mentoring type. That's why it has the learning modules recommended. So IBM Z Explore, foundational to advanced, because this is, I think, a very broad question asked. So it recommended foundation all the way to advanced. ZZSA, zip-zap standard alone via CPT tape. CPT tape is one of the OMP projects. So defined as open source, that's also pulled as a learning resources. Interskill 0 as 3.1 and 3.2. That is also recommended systems administration. Next step, so based on the questions asked, because it's about a blackout question, the GEM guest, the learner might want to know more about the modern DevOps engineer role, or if they are interested in learning more about Zoe Explorer and the VS Code to manage the unbreakable system. So that is the answer.
And you'll see here, because I didn't mention this earlier, and I should have, but like one of the big things with this mentor gem was that we didn't want it to necessarily just be something that spits out answers. But as Nancy mentioned, we want it to be something that if there is opportunity to point them towards learning resources and additional pathways, make sure we're pointing them towards that, because that's really, the big goal here is to almost inspire, I think was what someone at Share said. But like really to inspire people to continue to learn more is kind of what we want to transform this into. And there's still some opportunities to do that. But yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. Thank you, Zach. So I'm gonna throw this in. I have not read that, but I'm gonna read it here.
And while you throw Zach's question in, I know Pablo, you asked, will this mentor be available for anyone to use slash test? And the answer is yes. If you are a member of the Mainframe Open Education team, which all of you either are or can elect to be, and we'll go through the steps on how to do that. You'll actually have access to the backend information in terms of how this was built. And yes, in that case, you can potentially be, I guess, volunteered as one of our testers. So basically, the next step would be to officially join Mainframe Open Education. And we'll go into that in a little bit in terms of how you can do that. So excellent question.
Cool. Yeah, and just to quickly jump on that, the reason I mentioned the testing case we had with ProTech is I think probably you probably see the similar things that could happen for InterSkill. The purpose of the GEM is not to replace InterSkill or any of the professional training providers, but rather if we have a very detailed or well-structured or well-indented course catalog, when we feed that to the mentor, well, when we feed that to the search gem and the auditor gem, they could actually better weave what we have into the answer. So it's not just like this, like a say system administration title pumped in here, but rather a more specific, more granular level of the title can show up here when people ask more relevant questions. So I think that that is the power we have at hand to some degree manipulated how much granular of the information we can actually feed to learners to their need. So, okay, I have the Zach's questions pasted in here, so I'm gonna just go ahead put that
Yeah.
in. But I wonder if
And
that this is more because it asking about us specifically supporting Elastic. So, okay, let's just see.
yeah, and I will say, Zach, for questions like this, I'm not sure, like, I'm curious actually what it came back with, because I know the intention of the mentor was definitely higher level general questions for new mainframers. So because this would be the Broadcom specific one,
Yeah.
we can actually see.
It actually pointed out to Broadcom's support and
Yeah.
so here is a technical explanation and followed by the deep dive. So this is definitely a bit technical. So it actually have OMP, open telemetry, recommended, Zoe again to come on top. Zoe is just mediation layer for everything. Watchtower Tech Doc. So same thing goes here. So like for all the tech docs, at some point, if we all turn them into the markdown files, it will be easier for the gem to read into what specific sections we want people to read into instead of like just recommend the documentation with thousands of pages. That's kind of not the most helpful. So IBM Z operational log and data analytics. So this is a module I'm personally not extremely familiar with. So I cannot tell if this is most relevant. So, oh, and then here followed by the system health context. So I'm gonna just ask Zach, are you?
It did get the right answer. Partially, it was Z Iris up above is actually um, the pathway it takes. I think it was number two,
Okay.
if you were to scroll up. But um, I actually have been using a gem that I made myself, a mainframe expert gem. But I'm curious to get involved in this because this seems a little bit better than what I have going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to work with you.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that you're building your own gems because that was a big thing. We also, like, besides what we built here, I think one of the other big takeaways of this is that it's pretty, gems are readily available. They're no cost to use, like you can create your own. So that was something else that I know, if anything, we encourage people to kind of play around with the ability to build their own gems and play around with what you can kind of do with it, in addition to what we're doing here. But it's pretty
Yeah.
cool tech, pretty cool way to use. You could use it. Like I have one just for email management that I'm playing around with creating that helps me identify emails every morning and things like that. So
Cool. And one of the things we might also seek to further test out is to see a simple gem like that. We can actually get it going with some nicely written instructions. How in terms of the accuracy this is compared to a RAG, this retrieval augmented generation, just to see how in terms of the answer coming back, how accurate and how relevant that will be. So that will be a different topic, but that's something we look into maybe to test it out in the near future. So if you're interested, definitely join us. Do we have other questions we want to test? Or do we want to jump forward to the next steps? And also where you can find the instructions for the gem we built. Okay, just stop the sharing. Kelsey, I wonder, do you want me to drive the slides or you drive that and we migrate?
yeah, I'll pull them. I can pull them back up because I have them here. Let me just go into my slideshow mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it should be up there.
Thank you. Yes, to look into the future, what we're seeking to improving the gem is one, we want to further improve its search results by further updating our prompts to manually define or like add weight to some of the results over others. So that's something we seek to do. And then another thing we seek to do is to edit search results in the audit packet as needed. So just like I mentioned, one of the ProTech example. So if it doesn't actually come up on top, so through the organic search, then we know there are some hidden industrial knowledge that the gem needs to understand by manually written in. So that part, again, we definitely have control over it. And then to make the gem up and running nicely, we definitely need to keep it nicely maintained with annual review and update of the audit packet. And with all that said, as long as we have good content flow in, we see the gap, we seek to fill the gap. And I see the annual update to be a very neat and meaningful work for the community. So once again, sending out the information, please join us to keep the thing updated and flow for the rest of the community. And then also already addressed the content gap. So a lot of times we know the knowledge are hidden in our experts' mind, and we try to help surface them. And then those will be eventually documented, and we can easily include, or you can also understand this as publish that in our workspace GitBook. That way we can direct our learner gem, learning mentor gem to look into these content added and feed that into the loop that we search, audit, and serve. So this is essential. This is also the mission that Mainframe Open Education seek to do, because we want to bring the expert to their expertise and make that surface to all the learners. And then keep doing this every day, continue fine-tuning our AI prompts. One of the things I learned yesterday from our AI engineers is even we have our own written instructions, always have AI to read our instructions. Even we have any update in our AI prompts, always have AI to read it through again, because AI understand AI better. And they can also help us fine-tuning the AI prompts to not overlapping with the rules we set up upfront. So that will also help with the quality of the gem eventually presenting in front of people. And then last but not least, we are seeking to play with this idea of creating this personalized mentoring. Do you want a specific tones? Do you want the gem to always keep prompting you to feed your latest and greatest status in the mainframe journey? And this gem can move along with your journey and help you along the way is something we seek to maybe doing it in the future. And for this, I want to pass it back to you, Kelsey, talking us through how we can actually put this into work in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. And this goes back, Pablo, to your question in terms of, hey, is this available for us to play around and test? So to reiterate that, yes, it is if you are a member of the Mainframe Open Education community. So we encourage everyone to basically join the community. You can learn more about kind of the steps you would take to start that journey by visiting our Get Involved page that is on our GitBook. So our GitBook basically for Mainframe Open Education serves as our workspace. So this is where we have information both from a technical side, from a career side, and about the Mainframe Open Education goals as well. So if you visit the Get Involved page on our GitBook, and I can actually, let's see if I pull it up here, if it'll mess up everything with the sharing. But this, yeah, I'll give you a quick preview of this. So this GitBook page, once it does load, and you're seeing my logged in editor version of it. But you can basically go ahead and see the steps to get involved. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually join the Mainframe Open Education GitBook. And that will actually allow you to have kind of the behind the scenes editor access. And there is a page that is currently hidden and only those that our editors can see, where the Mainframe Mentor AI information lives. And that's basically where you can go ahead and play around and test that out there. In addition to that, we encourage everybody to share their story. This is kind of serving as a kickoff campaign for everybody to be able to get involved regardless of your level of mainframe expertise. So there is the opportunity to share your mainframe story on the GitBook page. Basically, it's just you going through an overview of how you got involved in mainframe, what you do in your day-to-day job, all of that there. And that basically will count as a contribution on the GitBook page. In addition to that, we encourage everyone to make contributions to the GitBook page. So this can just be fixing a typo, or it can be suggesting a new topic, or it can be completely, adding your own page. If you see there is something that, you're interested in that's not currently on here, you can always create your own page and kind of submit that for review. And then we can always publish that. So it's a permanent part of the GitBook there. We also have on here attend an event. You've all already done that, but I do want to point out that we do actually have, as part of the Mainframe Open Education team, we do have bi-weekly core team meetings. If you are interested in attending those and getting more involved in this community, as well as also getting those, access to play around with the gem, if you email Nancy, I think is the correct way to go about that, and Nancy can get you added to those bi-weekly core team meetings for that there. When you do all of that, you will actually earn your MOE member badge, and you can email Nancy for that. It's a brand new badge that we've updated and added to our page, so you can actually go ahead and get that badge And that just showcases that you're a member of this team and contributing back to the community there. So that's kind of a quick high-level overview of the steps you can take to start getting involved. And when you get involved, you also get access to play around with the gem as well. Nancy, what am I missing for
No,
that?
I think
I
this
think
is
that was everything. Good job.
yeah. The only suggestion I might have is since we have people here, we'll have a little bit of time left. You could also quickly show our audience here the high level structure of our GitBook to how to find your way around it, how to drive it. Yeah, the only thing.
Yeah. And let me go ahead. I'm going to actually put
Good
this
idea.
link in the chat before I forget.
Yep, and then while you're doing that, I could just speak to the GitBook. So the GitBook, it has 5 different chapters for everything from foundational technology to career opportunities. And like Kelsey mentioned, we are always looking for future suggestions. If you want to contribute, let any of us know, and we'll be more than happy to get you involved. If you have a topic you want to share with the mainframe community, just let us know anything about finding the best ways to learn. We want people who contribute to that. You can do videos, images, one-pagers, TikToks, whatever you use is the best way to learn and what you think will be the most beneficial. We are all ears and looking forward to seeing everyone's contributions.
Yeah, so this is a workspace so we can fairly easily get content published. And we have a group of SMEs who will periodically review the incoming content. If there is currently not an exact right SMEs to review that, we would love to help you reach out to them and have them review the content. And once it's reviewed, improved, and merged, then our learning mentor gem can actually tap into what's currently in here and recommend that out to the learners. So we're really seeing the real impact that everybody can have. Join us here in the community. And another thing, since we're here on this page, Kelsey, if you can click on that global mainframe speaker repository,
Of
we
course.
strongly recommend everybody here. You don't have to have 30-year plus experience to be a speaker. Everybody's journey matters, and we would love to surface that to the the broader audience and have you connected with them. So we started this page called Global Mainframe Speaker Repository. So here we try to build out this information sharing platform for the educators to reach out to you if they need a certain topic to be presented to their students. So any events or conferences that they are seeking speaker for a specific given topic, they could come in here and get your contact info. So if you're interested, feel free to jump on this page and leave your contact info. A lot of us just encourage people to connect on us on LinkedIn, and the invitation can be sent over, and the initial conversation can get started there. So strongly recommend all of you to join us as a speaker. Again, you can speak locally, you can speak domestically, you can speak internationally or virtually, internationally, everywhere. So all the stories need to have a place and it should be heard. And we value all the topics you can speak to.
Yeah, and this page also is a great opportunity for students or anyone new to the industry to see a list basically of friendly faces. I know there's no pictures on this page, but friendly names at least, because everyone that's included on this list here is very open. You know, you can see LinkedIn's are all listed here. These are people that are willing to speak, are willing to communicate with new mainframers and kind of want to help out. So this also from a new to mainframe, resource or student resource is a great place for people to find some friendly faces and names to communicate and ask questions of.
So with that, do we have questions
Me
coming from
too.
the audience? Any feedback can provide us on the mentor jam. We appreciate your input. Thank you. Yeah, Sean, you can probably wrap us up then if we have no more questions coming.
Yes, great job, Kelsey and Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
All right, so that wraps up this month's session. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, everyone who watches the replay. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone you see on this call. We are more than happy to help and looking forward to get more people involved with Mainframe Open Education. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Cheers.
Bye.